Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective. In this episode of Main Event Memories, I'm going to do my review of WWE Unforgiven 2006. So the night started off with Johnny Nitro defeating Jeff Hardy to retain the Intercontinental Championship, and this was a decent match. I expected a little bit more out of these two, as you know they're very good in ring and they faced each other a fair bit around this time. But yeah, it was just a very slow match. I assumed it would be more fast-paced, especially with Nitro and Hardy having more high-flying abilities. That it would just be quicker overall, but that simply wasn't the case. Nitro targeted Hardy's knee very well once he got hurt. But yeah, I thought Johnny Nitro was more of a high-flying character, a bit like John Morrison, who he would go on to be. But what I saw here was most of his aerial offense was countered by Hardy. Maybe they just preferred to have him as a more grounded superstar because he was facing Jeff. But, I don't know, I kind of just expected an evenly contested match full of great high-flying offense, and it just didn't go that way. It was more grounded, very slow, and very methodical, and kind of didn't seem to fit the likeness of Hardy and Nitro here. But, yeah, Nitro made Hardy look strong in defeat because Melina had to step in and cheat for them to get the win. So essentially, Melina cheated in a way that she used her heel after being knocked off the apron. She hit Jeff Hardy with it, and then Nitro just pinned him. Would have much preferred Nitro hit Starship Pain here, or I don't know what, I assume it was still called that at that time. Might be called something different. But if he'd hit his finisher after hitting Hardy with a shoe and then gone for the pin, it would have looked a little bit better rather than just Melina hits him with a shoe and straight into the pin, because essentially Melina won the match, not Nitro. But I get the whole heel heat thing, and it kind of gets to the point, and it's a kind of different time, I guess, so maybe that's just the case. But yes, it was a fine match overall. It kind of disappointed it wasn't a better quality of match. Following that, we had Umaga and Kane face each other, but it ended in a double countout, which is not great just to start off with. But the match was okay. It was fine for two superstars who are the size of these two. You got essentially two monsters going at it. A lot of strikes going on. Umaga did a bit more aerial offense with the flying headbutt, and he kind of did the flying, I don't know, call it swinging legs attack again. I don't know what to really call it without it said like a 2K move, but hopefully you can get what I mean. Umaga controlled the match for the majority. Kane got very little offense in. He did go on a bit of a flurry, but then it went into the finish of the match, so we didn't really get to see much from Kane. A double countout always sucks, especially when it's on pay-per-view, so you've essentially got this really big match on a thing people have had to pay for instead of weekly TV, and it's ended in a double count out. Sucks a lot. It's a very, very crap way to go about it. But at the same time, I get that this was a feud starter, and this would end up with Kane going over to SmackDown in a loser leaves Raw match. But yeah, I get the fact that it's a feud starter, but double count outs always leave a sour taste in your mouth, because you kind of feel like you've been given less when you should be given more on pay-per-view, if that makes sense. For me, definitely the worst part of the show, in my opinion. That's basically because of the result, not anything else. I feel like these two could have had a really good match, but they decided to go a different way creatively, I guess. But yeah, I said overall it was fine from what we got, but the finish really took over my overall opinion of it. Following that, we had the Spirit Squad's Mikey and Mickey defeat the Highlanders to retain the World Tag Team Championships, and this again was an okay match. I think it was just a way to get the World Tag Team titles on the pay-per-view. The Highlanders controlled for a while during the first half of the match. They kind of split the ring off very well, and even though the Spirit Squad was still tagging in pretty often, Rory and Robbie continued to take control over the match. And yeah, it's kind of the case of the numbers advantage that got the Spirit Squad the win. They would eventually cheat multiple times to get the win over the Highlanders and kind of get that advantage over during the match. One thing I did enjoy about the Spirit Squad is that they're double teams, as Kenny and Mikey, but I don't know whether this is the same with the rest of the members, is that their double team moves are really good. They're really fluid, and yeah, massive advantage if they're kind of there, especially if they're spending a lot of time together, training and stuff. That seemed to work out very well for them. The way that they interfered for the finish, that one of the other members, I believe it was, I can't remember. I want to say it was Mitch, but I don't think it was. I think it was Johnny, I believe. He kicked Rory in the back of the head, and he kind of did karate, I guess. So I knew he had a gimmick around that at one point when they faced DX. So yeah, he did that to help them get the win while they distracted the referee, which I fully understand. Again, numbers advantage. But again, just like the opening match, you kind of had someone else retain the championship, or championships in this case, for the Spirit Squad. Having that twice on pay-per-view, not great, but you know, it kind of worked with how the Spirit Squad were. You got the heels retain, and it gives them a title defense as well on pay-per-view, so I kind of get the point, but just overall it was an average tag team match and definitely wouldn't have gone amiss on Raw. After that, we had the 3-on-2 Hell in a Cell handicap match where DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels defeated Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon and The Big Show in what was a very fun watch. This is a match I very much like of this pay-per-view, one of the ones I definitely remember off this card. I'd say probably the most unique Hell in a Cell match of all time. But no matter how unique it is, it was still brutal. Like DX played it tactically correct. I believe they punted Big Show in the cock about 3 times during this one, and used the post at one point as well, all during the match. The McMahons were opened up pretty early into this one, but the only times the heels were winning the match was when Big Show was up and controlling and was able to give the advantage to either Shane or Vince, which makes perfect sense within the match. I have no bad ill towards that. It makes perfect sense within the match, and Big Show at that point was I believe the biggest the Big Show was, so yeah, it makes sense that he would be able to take on Triple H and Shawn Michaels at the same time, though I'd probably say about 60 to 70% of the match was controlled by DX, but I do have to give Vince and Shane my respect, as they had the crap kicked out of them throughout, not just for the bloody stuff, but just everything throughout the match that they were doing with pretty brutal shots. Triple H and Shawn Michaels never half-arse bleeding either. When they got cut up, it was grim. The coast to coast that Shane McMahon did that got Triple H in the ear, and he was literally pouring blood from the ear, was pretty grim to look at. But yeah, I've never seen. Okay, there was points where they had the match won, the heels, Vince and that, but they would lift the shoulders off the mat, and I've never seen a match where a heel stops a pin by themselves and then go on to win the match. But if there is that case, do put down in the comments. I'm very, very interested to watch that back. But yeah, the chair around the neck of Shane McMahon, and then the elbow drop. So he was there. Let me try and explain this one. So Shane McMahon was laid out. They put the chair around his neck, kind of folded. I'm sure you understand what I mean if you're a wrestling fan. Shawn Michaels did an elbow drop onto it, and the sell from Shane was grim. He was literally pouring, not just blood as usual. It was really thick, almost black blood coming out of his mouth. It was disgusting. It was an awful visual, but kind of made the match even more awesome. One thing I did enjoy, as you there's a reason why I like watching these early 2000s pay-per-views, and it's for Jerry Lawler's commentary, because some of the stuff he says is absurd or just really funny. And he said at one point a repeated onslaught on his manlyhood, which really made me chuckle, about how Big Show was pretty much been hitting the dick multiple times throughout this match. It really made me chuckle. But say what you want about Vince as a person, but whenever he was in the ring, he never let anything go by the wayside. He was always really in with the thick of it, and also his facial expressions throughout this match were just meme after meme after meme. It was so fun to watch. And yeah, I think it's only right that he was the one that took the finish of the match, essentially, which was a sweet chin music from Shawn, and then he had a sledgehammer broken over the back of his neck by Triple H. The match is crazy. The match is so friggin' good. If you can find it on Netflix, go watch it. If it's on YouTube, go watch it. It is so good. Such a fun Hell in a Cell match, and one that doesn't take itself too seriously, so I feel like casual fans will definitely enjoy this one as well. But yeah, just a ton of fun to watch, and yeah, definitely go check it out if you hasn't, as I said. Following that, we had Trish Stratus defeat Lita to become the new women's champion, and this was down as Trish's retirement match, but obviously we know that kind of isn't the case anymore. But no, this was good. This was obviously two of the best going at it for the last time. It was never going to be a bad match. Lita did control for the majority. Trish Stratus winning the title on her last match was an interesting choice to go for, but I suppose now that we know that it wasn't her last match, it kind of doesn't seem as such a bad idea. I feel like nowadays, if someone won a title in their last match, I wouldn't be so understanding of it. I feel like it's a bad way to go out, in my opinion, just because you should be giving the title to someone else, if anything, if there's a title on the line, or having someone retain against you as your final match. But that's either near or there. It's just an interesting choice. But yeah, to be fair, Trish certainly wrestled earlier this year at Evolution and at Elimination Chamber, so we know it wasn't actually our last match. But, you know, it wasn't their best match. I believe that Trish and Lita had a lot better matches than this one. Obviously, the Raw main event comes to mind, like, for definite. I'd say that this match kind of stagnated at times, but it didn't massively take away from the match. If anything, I'm just nitpicking at this one. But Stratus winning with a sharpshooter is kind of poetic, as they were in Canada, and she's Canadian, as we all know. A very cool moment. Obviously, not as meaningful now, as we know the match wasn't her last. But, yeah, it was a good feeling for the crowd, a good kind of moment for her, even if it didn't turn out to be true, I guess. But, you know, overall, it was a good match. Trish and Lita are at their best, and, you know, no complaints from me. It was a decent match. But yeah, as I said, it was just a bit of a takeaway on a rewatch, just because we know it isn't her last one. After that, we had Randy Orton defeat Carlito in what was actually a surprisingly good match. It's a lot better than I remember it being. But yeah, I'm not used to Carlito being the babyface. It's not often that the superstar who is the good guy is spitting at the heel, but, you know, it's kind of his thing. Carlito springboard corkscrew senton into a springboard moonsault is really, really cool. I really loved him doing that. But yeah, it was a fairly even contested contest between these two. Orton was a more technical and ground-based dynamic, whereas Carlito was very fast and high-flying, which worked really well here. I feel like on this card, it was a very underrated match, obviously with the Hell in a Cell match and the main event kind of taking the spotlight. This is a very much dark horse for a match of the night contender, if it's kind of your thing. But yeah, something we don't see nowadays very much is just random singles matches on pay-per-views. Obviously, this feud didn't really go much after this one, because I believe, if I remember correctly, Randy Orton would go on to team with Edge to feud against DX, and Carlito went on to do other stuff as well. I don't remember if he turned heel not long after this. I believe he was a babyface because he was dating Trish Stratus at the time in storyline. So yeah, it's not very often we just get a one-match feud that ends up on a pay-per-view. You know, obviously, nowadays in WWE, everything's like pre-planned way before. So yeah, it was kind of nice seeing that again. Carlito having the backcracker finish is a great counter to a RKO attempt that I think we only saw it once. I feel like if they'd done it multiple times, it would have actually been pretty cool. But no, the finish was absolutely fantastic. Carlito went for like a springboard move. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be some kind of clothesline or drop kick or something like that, but Randy Orton countered it beautifully into an RKO. It was kind of like the more satisfying RKOs out of nowhere that we see nowadays with the likes of Chad Gable and Evan Bourne. This was kind of like the OG one before that. But for me, that was a fantastic end to a great match. And yeah, very surprising how good this one was on a rewatch. And yeah, I feel like this one's kind of one that's forgotten about because of the two big matches on the card. But if you can seek it out and find it, definitely go watch it. It's really, really good. And finally, in the main event, John Cena defeated Edge in a TLC match to win the WWE Championship. And I'm going to say this now, I have to try not be too biased towards this one, because this is one of, if not my number one favourite match of all time. This is why I kind of chose to randomly do Unforgiven 2006. But these two as opponent partnerships is just brilliant. It is a legendary feud. And yeah, I cannot say enough good about this partnership just as a feud. Like I said, it's arguably my favourite feud of all time, if not one of my favourites, like definitely top 3 I'd say. But I did like how the dynamic started with Cena going for more wrestling matches and wrestling moves, whereas Edge was going more towards weapons. He got a chair involved very quickly, and he was kind of using everything in his surroundings to help him get the advantage. But also the dynamic of the like babyface and heel tactic as well. Also, like, I don't know, how do I put this like better? Because of the dynamic working really well here, Cena was going for the wrestling. He wasn't that comfortable with weapons, and yeah, it just came across more babyface, whereas the Edge with the heel, like obviously being a heel and then going for weapons as well. Just everything about this worked really well, and like it told the story of the match perfectly. Edge getting knocked out in the ladder during the STFU, so you kind of had him in like within the ladder, kind of sandwiched in, and he did an STFU on Edge, and Edge kind of got knocked out like during it. He passed out, and then he got woken up a few moments later afterwards. I think he got said in the the documentary that they did about this match, that he got hit in the face with a ladder like moments later, and that's what woke him back up again. It's just crazy to think, because he like did a little bit of transitional stuff between then. But then yeah, obviously after that, or a little bit further on, Edge did a spear to John Cena off the ladder, which looked awful, but then moments later, Edge would kind of do a crossbody onto Cena, but Cena would catch him, which just seemed nuts because Cena had just been speared. Lita's involvement made perfect sense to a degree. It made sense that she was there to help. She was as much part of this feud as Edge and John Cena was. She even had a match with John Cena, I believe, where he had one arm time behind his back and he won. It's one of the things I just remember watching when I was younger. But obviously, it didn't go on to help Edge massively, as she would get into the ring, hit Cena with a chair, and Cena would then not fall, but kind of stumble into a ladder that then Edge was on top of. He then knocked the ladder over, and Edge went barreling through 2 tables on the outside in what was an awful looking bump, because it looked like the back of his head hit the kind of concrete part of the ramp. But now, of course, we get to the FU off the top of the ladder through 2 tables by John Cena to Edge in what is a all-timer moment. It's one of the things it's like if I think about wrestling just overall, it's one of the pictures I have in my head, obviously, because this is one of my favourite matches of all time. But yeah, such an awesome spot. A great way to end a feud for the time being for these two. And yeah, just an absolute classic TLC match in my opinion. And yeah, absolutely zero complaints from me. Obviously, I do have a bit of bias towards this match, but yeah, I can't say enough good about this one. I believe WWE have also, or maybe the WWE Vault channel, have recently uploaded this full match to their channel, so definitely go check that out, or so you go watch it on Netflix. But yeah, absolutely fantastic main event, absolutely fantastic feud ender for this part of their feud, and yeah, I cannot say enough good stuff about this one. It's an awesome match, so yeah, definitely go watch this one. So those are my thoughts and opinions on Unforgiven 2006 from WWE, in case it's not obvious. Just to cause, not to cause too much confusion, I have the poster here on my wall already, because it is one of my favourite pay-per-views of all time. Coming up on the channel soon, there is my top 50 favourite pay-per-views of all time, and yeah, Unforgiven is in my top 5. I will kind of reveal that, not that it means anything, I'm just saying that that's what it is. But yeah, there is that coming up on the channel. There is also other reviews coming up as well. I've kind of gone on a main event memories kind of, I don't know, like there's just a lot coming up pretty much. You've got this one, the NXT TakeOver 25 is already up on the channel. There's also WWE SummerSlam 2021 coming up, and AEW All Out 2022. So I do look forward to those coming up, as well as some lists and a cool, I believe it's already out at this point, or it's out in a couple of days, I can't remember right now. But there's a NXT current day / 2.0 versus NXT Black and Gold list coming up. It's a kind of connection to NXT Homecoming that's coming up soon. So do go check that one out. There's a couple of dream matches in there that I know some people would love to see, as well as myself. So yeah, do go check those out. Do like this video if you enjoyed this review. Any suggestions of pay-per-views that I should rewatch coming up and do a review of, yeah, do put in the comments down below. I would much appreciate it, and I'll go and check those out. It's normally from between like 2001 to 2019, apart from AEW, where I'm kind of doing up to 2023. But yeah, do suggest some stuff below. Do like the video if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe for a lot of wrestling content coming up. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.